Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back into another edition of Keytime Sports. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to Keytime Sports right here on YouTube, Key City Sports on Instagram, and the keyonmillions.co. Here is my dashboard. Here is my merchandise. We just had new merchandise rolled out within the last week, and here it is. Here is my media feed. And here is my profile so that you will know it is me. So I got quite a few things to get into today. I have two segments to do today. I have my NBA segment, which we are going to get into right now, and the Sweet 16 for the NCAA Men's College National Basketball Championship starts tonight. Tips off tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So one thing that I am going to do, I am going to cover the Atlanta Hawks and the Detroit Pistons right now. So, Atlanta Hawks and Detroit Pistons last night, it was a very, very entertaining game. The Atlanta Hawks, they almost lost this game after having a 17-point lead going into halftime. So, as you can look and see, when you look at the statistics for the starting five of the Atlanta Hawks, Onaki Okwanwu, 11 points in 24 minutes. Jalen Johnson, 27 points in 42 minutes. CJ McCollum, 27 points in 35 minutes. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, 21 points in 40 minutes. Dyson Daniels, 16 points in 43 minutes. Bench production for the Hawks: Corey Crisper, 5 points in 12 minutes. Jonathan Kuminga, 8 points in 20 minutes. Muhammad Gwai, 0 points in 1 minute. Zachary Rochester, 2 points in 9 minutes. Jock Landale, 5 points in 28 minutes. Gabe Vincent, 8 points in 11 minutes, and everybody else who was on the list did not play because of coach's decision. Detroit Pistons, Tobias Harris, 35 minutes, 22 points. Duncan Robinson, 17 points in 35 minutes. Jalen Duren, 26 points in 42 minutes. Azur Thompson, 18 points in 37 minutes. Dennis Jenkins, 19 points in 45 minutes. Bench production, 6 points in 11 minutes. Ronald Holland II, 2 points in 42 minutes. Javonte Green, 7 points in 15 minutes. Caris LeVert, 4 points in 15 minutes. Kevin Huerter, 8 points in 20 minutes. And who all is remaining on the list did not play because of coach's decision. Now, let's get to the statistics of this game, because that is what y'all are here for. And the Detroit Pistons, last night they shot 51% from the floor. Atlanta Hawks shot 48% from the floor. 3-point percentage, that's where the Atlanta Hawks won last night. Because you can see the Atlanta Hawks made twice as many three-pointers as the Detroit Pistons. Detroit Pistons, 9 of 33 from the three-point line. Atlanta Hawks, 18 of 52 from the three-point line. Free throw percentage, pretty much the same. The Pistons, they made more free throws than the Atlanta Hawks. Offensive rebounds, +4 for the Atlanta Hawks. Defensive rebounds, +3 for the Atlanta Hawks. Turnovers, Atlanta had 20 turnovers, but yet still won the game. Fast break points, +5 for the Atlanta Hawks. Largest lead of the game was 21 points. And somehow the Atlanta Hawks allowed the Pistons to tie this game up. This game even went into overtime, and the largest lead for the Detroit Pistons was 5. But one thing before I show y'all a few clips, this is the kind of game that really propelled the Atlanta Hawks, because as you can see in the standings. Yesterday, the Atlanta Hawks was in the play-in tournament spot. Now look at where the Atlanta Hawks are. And look at where the Orlando Magic is. Now, at the start of the week, the Orlando Magic, they were fifth. Well, excuse me, they were sixth in the East. Now, since they've been on a losing streak and lost 6 straight, they have dropped from 6 to 10, and that is what I've been saying over the past couple of weeks in the Eastern Conference. 5 through 10, anybody, and I do mean anybody, can drop one night and rise 2 or 3 spots. And that is exactly what the Atlanta Hawks did last night with that win. So 5 through 10, everybody needs to watch the 5 through 10 slots in the Eastern Conference, because we only have 9 more games left in the season. And this is pretty much, we're getting down to the nitty gritty, and playoff positioning is at an all-time high. See, this is where the NBA starts to get interested. Around the last few weeks of the season, when we get to playoff time, and all of a sudden we got teams that are desperate and that are trying to keep their season afloat. And let's see if the Orlando Magic can keep their season afloat. Now, do I think that Milwaukee has a chance at getting into the play-in tournament? No. Do I think Chicago has a chance at getting into the play-in tournament? No. I believe that the 10 spots that are in the East, they are just going to be a revolving door. That is all. Now, as I said, I will give you all a couple of highlights. Now, here is overtime, and this is where Atlanta and Detroit started. So, Atlanta was up by 5. They missed that. Detroit goes down, and they get a layup, an alley-oop dunk. And Atlanta comes down the floor, makes that basket, and that was pretty much game over, even though Detroit did bring it all the way down to 1. Now, see this shot right here. You had a chance at winning. Now, see, this is what I always say. I just want to go back. Because somebody, thank you. One thing that I want to talk about is, see, what he should have did right here. You got 3.6 left. And I'm pretty sure everybody sees that, 3.6 left. And you're driving on a guy that is smaller than you. So you should have kept driving and found a way to get fouled. That's what he should have did. He should have found a way to get fouled. And only thing you have to do is, if you're trying to win it, make both. But if you're trying to extend it into a second overtime frame, you only have to make one. But all in all, this was pretty much a bad shot, but that's the only shot that he was able to take in that situation, because I don't think, see, look at this. Atlanta came with a double team. Y'all see this? McCollum came over. He came with a double team and forced Tobias Harris into a tough shot. Now, I believe that Detroit, now, while this game, it won't hurt Detroit because they will be making the playoffs, I believe for the Atlanta Hawks, this was a game that would propel them. And also, if the playoffs were to start next week, they would be playing the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the Toronto Raptors would be facing the New York Knicks. Now, for the first 2 seeds, Detroit and Boston, it is still up in the air of who they are going to play. They could either play the Philadelphia 76ers, the Detroit Pistons, could either play the Philadelphia 76ers or the Orlando Magic. And the Boston Celtics could be playing the Miami Heat or the Charlotte Hornets. There is still a lot of movement in both of these respective conferences that we got to get to. So the next game I am going to cover is possibly, and I do mean possibly, an NBA Finals preview, America. I think that the most realistic matchup for this year's NBA Finals is what we saw last night. The Oklahoma City Thunder and the Boston Celtics. Now, for me, my dream scenario when it comes to the NBA Finals is the New York Knicks and the LA Lakers. That is my dream scenario because you got the two most biggest sports markets in the world. You have them on the NBA Finals stage for the first time in over 60 years. For the first time in over 60 years. But back to what I was saying. Oklahoma City Thunder and the Boston Celtics, let's see. Their respective spots in the Eastern Conference. You got the Boston Celtics as at the second spot in the East. You got the Oklahoma City Thunder at the first spot in the East. But can they hold on? Because the San Antonio Spurs are just 2 games back of first place in the West. And there are still 9 games left to play. 9 games left to play. So I'm gonna do these calculations. So if the Oklahoma City Thunder lose 3 more games and the San Antonio Spurs go on a 4-5 game winning streak, the San Antonio Spurs will become number 1 in the Western Conference. So for the Oklahoma City Thunder, you pretty much went from earlier on in the season, all of us expecting you to basically run away with the NBA and get to 65 or 70 wins, to now you possibly gonna have to go on the road in the first round. So the top 2 in the West, it's not a foregone conclusion. And the Spurs, they have beat the Oklahoma City Thunder multiple times already this season. So matchups, potential playoff matchups, and potential Western Conference Finals matchups is pretty much all on what Oklahoma does down the stretch. But back to what I was saying when it comes to the Oklahoma City Thunder, Isaiah Hartenstein, 6 points in 22 minutes. Chet Holmgren, 10 points in 26 minutes. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 33 points in 37 minutes. SGA is the most efficient scorer in the NBA. Lou Dort, 14 points in 22 minutes. Jalen Williams, 7 points in 24 minutes. Bench production for the the Oklahoma City Thunder. Jalen Williams, 4 points in 14 minutes. Alex Caruso, 9 points in 21 minutes. Isaiah Joe, 5 points in 12 minutes. Cason Wallace, 7 points in 24 minutes. Jared McCain, 6 points in 13 minutes. AJ Mitchell, 8 points in 25 minutes. And the remaining 3 players did not play because of coach's decision. For the Boston Celtics, Jason Tatum, 19 points in 35 minutes. Sam Hauser, 9 points in 29 minutes. Namis Quetta, 13 points in 30 minutes. Derek White, 12 points in 33 minutes. Jaylen Brown, 31 points in 39 minutes. Bench production for the Celtics. Luke Garza, 7 points in 12 minutes. Peyton Pritchard, 33 minutes, 14 points. Baylor Shearman, 11 points in 20 minutes. Hugo Gonzalez, 3 points in 9 minutes. And as you can see, here is the efficiency statistics for the Celtics. and the Thunder, pretty much both teams shot the same amount of attempts and 3-point percentage. 3-point percentage, the Celtics made 6 more 3-pointers than the Oklahoma City Thunder. Free throws, 21 of 26 for the Thunder, 25 of 29 for the Celtics. Offensive rebounds, +3 for the Celtics. Defensive rebounds, +5 for the Celtics. Then we get the turnovers. Celtics had more turnovers than the Thunder. And fast break points, +6 for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Largest lead of this game. This game was pretty much back and forth for the entirety of this game. Largest lead for both teams, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Largest lead was 13. For the Boston Celtics, largest lead was 14. So now we get into the highlight clips of this game. We pick it up at the 3-minute, 40-second mark of the fourth quarter. OKC was down by 11. They get it all the way down to 9, but defensively last night, they had a tough game. See, they got it all the way down to 7, but Jaylen Brown's 33 points, those were 2 of Jaylen Brown's 33 points. And like I've been telling people, there's a 3-point shot. OKC got it all the way down to 6 with under a minute left. But like I've been saying, this may be the NBA Finals that we are looking at right here. We have to take that into consideration. And as we can see, both teams, they have good bench production. But I would like to see a 7-game NBA Finals series with both of these teams, because I do believe that ratings would go all the way up, because you have one of the biggest markets in the NBA in Boston, because we already know that Boston is one of those teams that they have one of the biggest markets in sports, because they have basketball team, football team, hockey team, baseball team. And the Oklahoma City Thunder, they just have basketball and college football. So we still pretty much dealing with a small market versus a big market. But the Thunder, they dealt with this last year, and they were able to win the championship. Now, best case scenario for the Thunder, a repeat champion. The best case scenario for the Celtics, NBA Finals championship. So you're pretty much looking at one of, if not the potential NBA Finals matchup. This is just one. I'm not going to say that this is the NBA Finals that we're looking at, but I can say that I have a general idea of what the NBA Finals matchup is going to be, but I will tell y'all that at a later date, because I do not want to give away the script. Now, the next game I am going to cover is the Miami Heat and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland Cavaliers, what was that last night? I'm not even gonna read the statistics. I'm just gonna let the audience look at these statistics for the Miami Heat and for the Cleveland Cavaliers. If you are the Cleveland Cavaliers, you're still in 4th place. Now, with Atlanta winning last night, Atlanta is 4 games back of the Cleveland Cavaliers. And also, Cleveland, they've won 6 out of the last 10. But we all know that, like I've been saying, the teams that are in the East, 5 through 10, are pretty much up for grabs. And I'm gonna say 4 through 10 in the East is up for grabs, because we really don't know what Cleveland team we gonna get. I was expecting for Cleveland to come out and handle business last night. We already know that Miami has been undermanned all season long, and they are pretty much just, their season is hanging by a thread. And Without the play-in tournament, Miami would be out of it. I'm gonna just go ahead and just keep it 100 with y'all. Miami would be out of it. The Philadelphia 76ers would be out of it at this point if it wasn't for the play-in tournament. So now, Cleveland, they dropped the ball, as you all can see with their statistics, and you can see with Miami's Miami statistics. Everybody that they had a balanced scoring attack last night for the Miami Heat, and when we get to the Cleveland Cavaliers, you see that they also had a balanced scoring attack last night. But I'm gonna tell y'all something. The statistics really don't tell the final score of this game. When it comes to team statistics, as you all can see, when it comes to team statistics, the Heat made 6 more three-pointers than the Cleveland Cavaliers. Free throws, 18 of 22 for the Miami Heat, 21 of 24 for the Cleveland Cavaliers. We get down to turnovers. They had the same amount of turnovers, so that category is non-existent. We get the points in the paint. They had the same amount of points in the paint, 44 for Cleveland, 40 for Miami. We get the fast break points, plus 13 for Miami. I'm going to tell y'all something. Turnovers hurt Cleveland last night. Free throw shooting, it didn't hurt Cleveland last night, but 12 of 37 from the three-point line, that hurt Cleveland last night. Now, I'm going to tell y'all something before I get into these highlights. There was at one point in the game where this game was tied. As you all can see, Miami is up by 2 points with under 7:30 left in the fourth quarter. Then all of a sudden it seemed like Cleveland was going uphill. And as you all can see, this is pretty much with 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Cleveland comes down and James Harden makes a three, but it was pretty much all she wrote, because by the time we got down to 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter, Miami was already up by 3. So Miami is at the number 8 spot in the East right now. Cleveland is at the number 4 spot. But Cleveland, they cannot afford to lose another game, because Atlanta, they are surging. They've won 3 straight. And the remaining schedule for Atlanta, it is very favorable. And I'm going to show y'all this. I'm going to show y'all the remaining schedule for Atlanta, because I could see Atlanta winning the final, I would say, 5 games. Because look, they have Boston twice. Sacramento, we already know Sacramento, they're going to win that one. They have Orlando. They have Brooklyn, obviously a win there. Then you have 2 games versus Cleveland, 1 game versus New York, and 1 game versus Miami. And I mean everything. Cleveland can be beat. Miami can be beat. New York can be beat. Orlando can be beat. So the Atlanta Hawks, they have their work cut out for them with a 5 or 6 game winning streak to end out the season. And you have teams like Cleveland and New York lose 3 or 4 games of their remaining 9. Atlanta, they may be cooking with some grease, cooking with some hot fish grease going into the playoffs. So the next game that I am going to cover is the Houston Rockets and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Let's go on back to the Wild Wild West, like I said earlier on in the show. Now, for the Wild Wild West, we get to a point where Houston and Minnesota are in the exact same boat. Minnesota won last night. Now that puts them a game and a half up with 8 games remaining for the Houston Rockets. Now, earlier on in the season and before the season started, we expected for the Houston Rockets to be one of the top 3 teams in the Western Conference. We also, I can pretty much say Minnesota, we expected Minnesota to be 5th. So Minnesota, they have not disappointed anybody. But last night, one thing that I want to talk about is late game situations for the Houston Rockets, and that is what is going to hurt the Houston Rockets in the playoffs. So, first off, let me get to player statistics for the Rockets and the Timberwolves. You got Kevin Durant, 30 points in 43 minutes. Jabari Smith, 16 points in 48 minutes. Alperen Sengun, 30 points in 43 minutes. Amen Thompson, 11 points in 45 minutes. Reed Shepherd, 10 points in 28 minutes. Bench production, Dorian Finney-Smith, 0 points in 6 minutes. A big old goose egg for him. Jashawn Tate, 5 points in 8 minutes. Tarion Easton, 3 points in 21 minutes. Clint Capella, big old goose egg for him. 0 points in 10 minutes. Aaron Holiday, 3 points in 12 minutes. Josh Okogie, 0 points in 1 minute. Big old goose egg for him. Minnesota Timberwolves, Julius Randle, 24 points in 42 minutes. Jaden McDaniels, 25 points in 37 minutes. Rudy Gobert, 14 points in 28 minutes. Mike Conley, 5 points in 29 minutes. Dante DiVincenzo, 17 points in 36 minutes. Now, Dante DiVincenzo, he got my middle name. I didn't even know that until I was looking at it. I didn't even know that. But hey, shout out to him. He's been one of the most efficient role players for the Minnesota Timberwolves over the last 3 years. Bench production for the Timberwolves. Kyle Anderson, 3 points in 30 minutes. Naz Reid, 14 points in 31 minutes. Terrence Shannon Jr., big old goose egg for him, 2 minutes, 0 points. Bones Highland, 8 points in 30 minutes. And everybody else did not play because of coach's decision. Now, let's get to the situation at hand, or as I like to say, I'm going to use a word that not too many people know. Let's get to the minutia of things, of what's going on in H-Town right now, or as I like to call it, the Big H. Now, Houston, couple of these games, I'm just going to say for Houston, I'm going to say 18 of their 29 games that they've lost, it has come down to schematics. It's came down to late game situations, and more times than not this season, Houston has failed to deliver in pressure-packed moments and in late game situations. I keep telling people that, okay, Houston, they have de facto playoff experience. And when I say de facto playoff experience, I'm only talking about Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant, he has made the playoffs 13 out of his 18 years. He's been in the playoffs. So himself, he's got playoff experience. But everybody else on the Houston Rockets do not have playoff experience outside of last year. So that is one thing that I want to cover. Now, Houston Rockets, I can see in late game situations, they don't talk to players. They don't talk with each other during their... Now, I'm not going to say that they have problems in the locker room, because they don't really have problems in the locker room. But when it comes to schematics, ball selection, shot selection, and turnovers, I'm going to tell y'all something. Last night, the Rockets had 21 turnovers. This is the 17th game this season that the Houston Rockets have had at least 15 turnovers. And it seemed like coming into the season, all of us had the nerve to put the Houston Rockets as one of the top 5 teams in the Western Conference. But I got to take a step back. Y'all see me? I got to take a step back. I'm leaning back in my chair. And I got to look at these statistics and say, is Houston really a championship contender? Or did we just buy into the hype that Kevin Durant coming to Houston, or, well, Kevin Durant coming to Houston, and we just basically penciled the Houston Rockets in? So, like I said, coming into the season, I said that the Houston Rockets, best case scenario for the Houston Rockets, they get to the NBA Finals. Worst case scenario, they lose in the first round. And it seems like all things are pointing to the Houston Rockets losing in the first round to the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, the Los Angeles Lakers, I've been saying this for a while. We expected the Los Angeles Lakers to be 6th, 7th, or in the 8th spot of the Western Conference. We didn't expect the Lakers to be 3rd. We didn't. But I go back to what I'm saying. Now, earlier on in the season, the Houston Rockets were in 3rd place from October 17th until, I believe, January 23rd. The Houston Rockets were in 3rd place. But ever since January 23rd, almost a good 2 months, they have been losing their grip on their playoff positioning with the Houston Rockets. If the Phoenix Suns go on a winning streak to finish out the regular season, and Houston lose, I'm going to say 3 more games, ladies and gentlemen, Houston Rockets would be a play-in team. And the Houston Rockets would be playing the San Antonio Spurs in the first round. Now, I'm not going to put the Houston Rockets coach on the chopping block just yet, because this is his 3rd year with the Houston Rockets. But his seat is getting hot. I'm gonna say that. It's not a pressure cooker right now, but that seat is really getting hot. I'm gonna say that his seat is pretty lukewarm right now. Meaning that, hey, it's not an unbearable heat, but when you sit down, you know that this is a hot seat. When you get to it, when you sit down on it. Now, for the Minnesota Timberwolves, I'm going to get into the Minnesota Timberwolves. What can I say about the Minnesota Timberwolves? They are a decent team led by Anthony Edwards. We expected the Minnesota Timberwolves to be in the 5th spot, so I'm not really going to give a deep analyzation about the Minnesota Timberwolves. Only thing the Minnesota Timberwolves need to do is keep doing what they're doing, and they will be playing the Denver Nuggets in the first round of the playoffs, and they'll have to go on the road. But the Minnesota Timberwolves, over the last few years, they have been able to beat the Denver Nuggets. So Minnesota, they don't have no problem with the Denver Nuggets at all. So before I get to the last game of this particular segment, I am going to get into the overtime frame of the Rockets and the Timberwolves last night. And as you can see, play the highlights. You see where Houston Rockets, they go up by 3. They are up by 6. Here is Kevin Durant. They are up by 9. Now, hold on. Freeze it right here. Thank you. Freeze it right there. Now, the Houston Rockets being up by 9 in overtime, for all the people that like percentages and historical stats, I'm going to give you all a historical stat. A team that goes up by 9 with 3 minutes left in the NBA, teams, they are 1,000 1,779 and 22. 22 was the Houston Rockets last night. Because as you can see, they are up by 9. They could pretty much go up by 13. So, ladies and gentlemen, you are up by 30 for the Houston Rockets. You are up by 13 points with under 3 minutes left. How do you not close the deal and slam the door in on the Minnesota Timberwolves? You let a wounded dog get momentum. I'm going to tell y'all something. Now, look at these next 3 possessions. Minnesota Timberwolves, they score on every one of the 3 possessions. And that's why I say they let a wounded dog get momentum. You got Julius Randle, corner 3, and it's back down to a 7-point game. Now back down to a 5-point game with Dante DiVincenzo. Now back down to a 3-point game. Dante DiVincenzo for 3, and it's a tie game. Y'all see what I'm talking about? Y'all see what I'm talking about? Julius Randle for the go-ahead score, and that was pretty much game over. You all can see what I'm talking about, right? When it comes to the Minnesota Timberwolves, they are a team that can close. They are a team that can close. Houston Rockets, my confidence is wavering when it comes to the Houston Rockets. It is. My confidence is wavering with the Houston Rockets. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if we're going to see the Rockets in the Western Conference Finals. I don't even know if we're going to see the Rockets in the second round because they lose too much. They've been losing too many games down the stretch. If I was the head coach of the Houston Rockets, now I'm not going to be disrespectful because Ime Udoka, he is a good-ass coach. I'm going to say that. He's a good coach. He has took a young team that nobody expected for them to make the playoffs last season, and he has put them in the playoffs. Now, with Kevin Durant, they may have some kryptonite on their shoulders. They may have some kryptonite on their shoulders. But let's see what the Houston Rockets can do when it comes to getting into the playoffs. Now, the last game on this docket is the Toronto Raptors and the LA Clippers. Toronto Raptors. I'm just going to say this about the Toronto Raptors and the Clippers. Clippers, I have to give the Clippers a whole lot of credit because the Clippers, they could have packed it in when they were 6-21. They could have packed it in. And with the Toronto Raptors, we didn't expect the Toronto Raptors to be this good. We didn't. And now we get to the point where when it comes to the Toronto Raptors, they are at the number 6 spot in the league, in the Eastern Conference. The LA Clippers are in the same boat as the Portland Trail Blazers. Now, let me tell y'all something about the Clippers and the Portland Trail Blazers. They are going to face each other in the playoffs. They are going to face each other in the playoffs. Now, from what I see, both of these teams are on a winning streak. So that play-in tournament matchup will be a toss-up. But I can tell you who will be the better matchup for the Spurs. It will be the LA Clippers. They will be the better matchup for the Spurs. For the Portland Trail Blazers, if this was any other season, they would have been done. They wouldn't have been able to make the playoffs. But before I go into this deep analysis about the Clippers, here is what is going on with the Clippers. And here is the LA Clippers and the Toronto Raptors. Now, Toronto Raptors, I see them playing the New York Knicks. And I also see the Clippers playing the San Antonio Spurs in the first round. But there's one thing. The Clippers and Raptors, both of those teams have flaws. They do. Both of them have flaws. And both of them will not make it to the second round. I can see that. New York is going to win in the first round versus the Toronto Raptors. The first round for San Antonio and Clippers, San Antonio is going to win that round. So, Clippers had a good season, but they're going to be a first round exit no matter what. So, before I close the book on this segment, here are the current Western Conference standings and the Eastern Conference standings. Now, when we look at playoff scenarios, I've already told you all the playoff scenarios throughout this show. So everybody, we only got 9 games left in the NBA season. And one thing I want to say, this is the perfect time. This is where everything gets interesting in the NBA. And with that, those are my reactions to last night's NBA play for Wednesday night. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Keytime Sports. Also, Key City Sports on Instagram and the KeyOnMillions.co. Here is my profile so that you will know it's me. Here is my merchandise. We just rolled out new merchandise in the middle of this month, and within the last week and a half, we've rolled out new merchandise. And here is my media feed so that you can watch my highlight clips, sound bites, and different segments on the NBA and March Madness. And let me tell y'all something. March Madness Sweet 16 tips off tonight. I will be doing a segment on the Sweet 16 in a little bit over 15 to 20 minutes. So please do not go anywhere. I'm going to take a break and I will be right back on the air in about 15 minutes. And remember, everybody, one last thing, the key is always on time.